Grab the bar with a pronated and wide grip. Sit down on the bench with feet flat on the floor. Adjust the knee pads onto your thighs. On the concentric phase, you will be exhaling. Pull down the bar as your elbows are pulling towards your waist. Your shoulder joint will be going through extension. Your elbow joint will be going through flexion. On the eccentric phase, you'll be inhaling. Return to start position in a controlled manner as your elbows will be going through extension and your shoulder joint will be going through flexion. Stand with your feet shoulder width apart. Make sure your knees are soft and not locked, and maintain a neutral spine. Grab the bar with a supinated grip. Hold the bar with shoulder width apart and your hands by your waist. Make sure you don't dig into your rib cage. On the concentric phase, you want to be exhaling. Make sure to keep the upper arm still while flexing your elbow joint until the bar is parallel with your shoulders. On the eccentric phase, you want to be inhaling. Lower the bar while keeping upper arm still and extending at the elbow until you reach the start position. Make sure not to lock the elbows. Adjust the cable so it's at a high position. Stand with your feet at hip distance with your knees soft and maintain a neutral spine. Grab the bar with a pronated grip and your hands shoulder width apart. Make sure to keep your wrists flexed. On the concentric phase, you will be exhaling. Keep upper arm still and push down on the bar as your elbow joints extend and your spine remaining in a neutral position. Make sure not to lock out the elbow joints. On the eccentric phase, you will be inhaling. Keep your upper arm still as your elbow joint will be flexing to return to the start position. The primary muscle mover for acetal row is the latissimus dorsi. For this exercise, place your feet on the platform and grab the handle. Next, you sit down on the bench and slide your butt backwards until your knees are slightly bent. Be sure to keep your torso still the entire exercise. On the concentric phase, you must exhale, pulling the front of your ribs, extending your shoulder joint and flexing your elbows so they point to the wall behind you. On the eccentric phase, you must inhale, flexing your shoulder joint and extending your elbows but making sure they do not lock. Adjust backrest so your knees are in line with the edge of the seat, then adjust lowering pad so it is just above the ankle joints. Make sure your feet are dorsiflexed at hip distance. On the concentric phase, you'll be exhaling. Straighten your knees as knee joint is extending. Make sure not to lock out the knees. On the eccentric phase, you'll be inhaling. Return to the start position as your knee joints are going through flexion and stop when knees are at a 90-degree angle. The primary muscle mover for seated leg curls is the hamstrings. For this exercise, you must adjust the backrest so the back of your knees wrap around the edge of your seat when they bend. Next, adjust the lower roller pad so it sits across the back of your ankles. Adjust the upper roller pad so it is against the top of your thighs. For the concentric phase, you must exhale, keeping your ankles dorsiflexed. You must flex your knees in order to pull your heels towards the back of your thighs. On the eccentric phase, you must inhale, extending your knees without locking them to bring the pad back to the top. The primary muscle mover for frontal shoulder raises is the deltoid. For this exercise, you must stand in a neutral position, keeping your feet hip width apart and the dumbbells at your thighs. In the concentric phase, you must exhale, flexing your shoulder joint, bringing the dumbbells to your shoulder height while keeping palms facing the floor. On the eccentric phase, you must be inhaling, extending your shoulder joint and bringing them back to your starting position. The primary muscle mover for good mornings is the erector spinae. For this exercise, you begin with the bar across at the back of your shoulders, keeping your knees soft and your spine neutral. On the concentric phase, you will exhale, flexing the hip joints and moving them back as you bend over, as you're going to be parallel to the ground. On the eccentric phase, you will inhale, extending your hips until you return to the starting position. The primary muscle mover for step-ups is the quadriceps. Begin standing in a neutral position. In the concentric phase, you will exhale, stepping up the step by placing one foot on the first step, followed by your next foot on the next step, then bringing the first foot to the top as well. In the eccentric phase, you will inhale while going down the steps. Step down with the opposite foot you started with and placing the following foot on the ground, then bringing the first foot back to the ground as well. The primary muscle mover for a pec deck is the pectoralis major. Once you are seated, you must grab one lever and pull it across your chest. Use your other arm to grab the other lever. In the concentric phase, you should be exhaling. You will be performing horizontal abduction through your shoulder joint by pulling your arms towards the side walls. Make sure to keep your elbows in line with your shoulder joints. For the eccentric phase, you should be inhaling. You'll be performing horizontal abduction by bringing both levers back to the center of chest. The primary muscle mover for an assisted pull-up is the latissimus dorsi. For this exercise, climb the steps one at a time and grasp the bar with an overhand grip. For the concentric phase, you'll be exhaling while lifting your body upwards by flexing your elbows. In the eccentric phase, you'll be inhaling while you're carefully lowering your body by extending your elbows. Stand with feet shoulder width apart with a dumbbell in each hand. Hold the dumbbell at shoulder height. This will be your start position. On the concentric phase, exhale. Lift both arms as your elbow joint is extending. Make sure dumbbells don't touch at the top and elbow joint doesn't lock out. On the eccentric phase, you'll be inhaling. Lower the dumbbells in a controlled manner back to shoulder height as your elbow joint is going through flexion. Stand with feet shoulder width apart. Soften knees and maintain a neutral spine. Grab dumbbells with a pronated grip. Keep elbows straight but make sure they are not locked out. Your palms will be facing in as the dumbbells will be by your side. On the concentric phase, you'll be exhaling. Lift the dumbbells laterally until dumbbells are level with your shoulder. On the eccentric phase, you'll be inhaling. Lower the dumbbells in a controlled manner, maintaining a neutral spine until starting position is reached. When performing lunges, on the lowering phase, when performing lunges, on the lowering phase, you'll be inhaling. Your leading hip should be going through flexion as both knees are also in flexion at a 90-degree angle. On the lift phase, you'll be exhaling. Both knee and hip joint will be extending. Get into a plank position with hands shoulder width apart and keep core flexed. Make sure your spine is neutral. This will be your starting position. On the eccentric phase, you'll be inhaling as your shoulders go through hyperextension and your elbows go through flexion. On the concentric phase, you'll be exhaling as your shoulders are going through flexion and your elbows are going through extension. Once seated on the leg press, feet should be hip width apart, straighten legs in order to unlock the lever. Make sure not to lock out legs in the process. On the eccentric phase, you'll be inhaling. Your knees and hips will be going through flexion as you bend them to a 90-degree angle. Make sure you keep a tight core. On the concentric phase, you'll be exhaling. Straighten your legs, but make sure not to lock out the knees, as your knees and hips are going through extension.